Well, good morning YouTube and welcome back to Retired for Life. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different from what we usually do. I want to give you a little more detailed look at what it takes to cut up a large log on a small sawmill. So as I've mentioned before, I've got a Woodland Mill sawmill, the HM122, and it is a totally manual sawmill. There is no power feeds on it in any way, and it is relatively small by comparison to some mills that are out there. This is, again, as I have mentioned before, what I would refer to as a hobbyist sawmill. It's not something that you would want to purchase to try and produce lumber off of, because it would take a lot of work to do it. But it is absolutely perfect for what I'm doing. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the sawmill. It is small, but it's everything that I need, and it has worked perfectly for the 3 years now that I've been running it. So let's have a very quick look at the mill before we actually get into the video. So there's the mill. I have kind of a medium-sized log on here all ready to go. So its capacity is 20-inch diameter, and the other capacity limiting is your distance from this beam here to the top of your blade, which is 6 inches. So in order to give you a little better idea as to what it takes to cut a big log on here, this video is slightly longer than my regular videos. But I hope you find it interesting. So let's get to it and we'll have a look at what's going on. Today is all about running the sawmill. Now we are right at the edge of capacity with the Kubota to lift these up here. It still amazes me that the Kubota will lift them and put them up here. Now let's get the Kubota up here, get our first big log on, and get to work. All right, guys, so this first one is, again, putting the mill at capacity. I've got 19 inches on the big end, which means once I get it up here, I'm probably going to have to cut a little notch in it to allow me to have room to get my clamp on. So you guys are going to see it from start to end. Now what I'm going to do is roll it out a little bit on my log bunk so I can get the grapple right over top of it, because most of my lifting power is at the wrist of this grapple. It will turn and lift things up. As once I pick this up, to actually pick up the whole front end loader, there isn't going to be enough power to do that. It's that heavy. So let's roll this out. I'm going to block it and try to get it up here. It should be fun. She is bouncy. My tires are pretty flat. Are we going to be high enough? There we go, baby. All right, we'll tip it a little bit and then release it. Okay, here it comes. that went pretty good. All right, we can back the tractor away and start blocking this thing in place. Let's get the tractor up in the shade. So what do you think of that, Luke? That's picking up some weight. So Luke's channel, orange is my new green. He's always fooling around with rocks and stuff. He has basically the same tractor, same size tractor, except I have a backhoe with mine. And I've watched him pick up and move around some pretty big rocks. But this is a beast. And as you saw, we actually had enough power to lift it up that little bit more to get it onto the bunks. I'm quite pleased with that tractor. What it can do is just absolutely amazing for something that's all of 23 horsepower. My lawn tractor has got more horsepower than that's got. But that's got torque like nobody's business. All right, let's get this thing figured out and we'll see what we have to do to actually cut it. So the problem that I have with these bigger logs is getting my clamp on. This clamp has got a point on the end that digs into the wood. So if I put it out here, this piece is going to stick out too far and I can't get the power head past this. So I've got to get down far enough that I can have this inside of the angle iron track. And if you get down that far, because this is a point on here, this is just going to slip off. So what I've got to do is put a groove in here, or a notch in here, so I can get this in and get it in far enough and clamp it up, kind of thing. Now, the notch is usually not a problem at all. That will disappear once I turn this into a proper cant and the roundness is cut off of it. But getting it to that point is a bit of a trick. Now these big logs you get lots of lumber from, without a doubt, but they are a real challenge to deal with. These things, it's a beast to roll this thing over to get it onto the flat side once I've got the first side cut. It's a lot to handle. It's and it takes time to do. So big return, but a lot of work. So let's get started on this and try to get this notch in here. Okay, there we go. So now I can actually clamp this thing up. And of course this would have to be a twisted log too. It is a bit of a roly-poly setup because I'm right off the bunk in the center. So I'm up against my stops and I've got some wedges in on the bunks too. All right, let's start straightening this thing out. I have a bit of a problem. I'm too wide here because of a knot on this side. So I got to try to cut that down. I think once that's off, I should be good. Usually once you get the first cut off, you're pretty good to go from there, but we're gonna have some issues getting through this beast. Broke a blade. So let's see what's going on inside here. I was in the clear too, so I'm quite surprised that the blade broke at that point. I did have it pretty tight. I may have had it too tight. Well, that's interesting. It doesn't appear to actually be broken. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. It sure sounded like the blade broke, but obviously it didn't. It's with all these knots and stuff in this, and the funny twist it's got, it may have just had too much stress in the log and it just simply pinched the blade down. But it may have wrecked the blade, I'm not sure. Let's get her threaded back up and we'll see what happens. And we were right where everything was narrowing down, so it is kind of strange. And the blade is tracking well. All right, here we go. So, coming up to where we were. So I don't know what happened there, but it looks like it's still cutting nicely, but I think we have a damaged tooth in there. So we've got one tooth that has gotten bent out of alignment, so it's sticking down a little bit and giving me a funny pattern on there. Alright guys, so I stopped and got a bit of lunch. Now, I know I said I was going to change this blade, but I think I've changed my mind. So I'm going to try another cut with it. This is, going to be structural lumber, 2x6s and 5x5s and that kind of stuff. So this mark doesn't really worry me that much, and I want to see what happens on another cut. Now this blade has done a lot of cutting, but it's still cutting nice and flat, so let's see what happens. So the next thing to do so I'm going to see if I can give myself a hernia rolling this thing over. This is always fun. All right, we still got our wedges in place, so it can't really run away on us too easily. Just got to remember to get the hell out of the way in case it does run away. Come on. Okay. Now's the fun part. Come on. Okay. Make sure my wedges aren't going to be underneath. And then this thing will come down with a real bang. Oh, there we go. That went all right. Oh. I'm up against another great big piece here. And because I'm on that branch end right there, the log is sticking out too far and I won't get by this. Oh, these big logs. So I'm going to try to cut this little nub off here. Oh yeah, we're good now. So the next challenge is back to the clamp. All right guys, so as you can see, we're getting a pretty nice looking cant here. Now I've gotten a nice 1-inch board off already. So the plan here with this is to get 4 6x6s out of what I've got left here. And I'm a little over 12 inches square. So 6x6 to fit in the mounts that I need to use, I'm actually going to be more like 5 5/8. So that means I've got lots of material here. So I'm going to cut this next piece at 5 5/8 thick. That will give me enough for 2 of my 6x6s. All right, now I just have to get this out of the way. Okay, guys. Whoa, boy. They are heavy. So I figure I need 18 of these. So I got 3, 6, 9. I've got 18 and one short one in there. So that's good. That will give me enough for the post and beam construction to replace this wreck. So that'll be nice to do. Anyway, that is what it takes to cut a big log on here. And oh my, that is a lot of work. I've got everything I need for railroad ties cut for my curbs. And I've got all of my 6x6s cut. So next is 2x6s and 1x8s. So what do we got in here? So we've got a fair number of 1x3s, although 4, 5, so 5, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50. I'm going to go through a third of this pile to finish off the storage building. So obviously I'm going to need more of those. And I've got about 125 2x6s there right now, which is a good start, but still not enough. So I've got this area here cleared out where I'm going to start piling more of the fresh cut 2x6s. I don't want them to be piled in with the old ones because I leave my lumber to dry for a year before using it. And everything in here except for the 6x6s is dry and ready to go. I've even got a couple of 6x6s up there that I can use too if I need more. Alright guys, I hope you found that video interesting, or at the very least entertaining. And as I said, it was something just a little bit different, give you a little more of an idea of what it takes to do this kind of work on this sawmill. Don't forget to give the video a like, and I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you out on the trails the next time. Boy, those things are heavy.